Good morning, or afternoon, or evening. Just seems either way. I need to open these conversations up. So hope everybody enjoyed the last little bit of time, weekend, whatever the case may be. Yeah, this morning I kind of changed things up where I wanted to sit. I wanted to reflect a little bit, and this video is all about, or really leaning into, let's say, the components of finding our goals, accomplishing our goals, the hustle that seems to be just so dominant in our vocabulary in the world, in our society, and how sometimes that messaging can really kind of, on a subconscious level, really kind of do the opposite of what I think its intention is. And I kind of wanted to bring a little bit of light to that, and also kind of speak about a few other things as well. So when it comes to goals, when it comes to, so we last week we talked a lot about, desires, wants, needs and wants specifically, and how important it is to know the difference in your own mind so that you can kind of get clarity within your own heart of really what is working for you and possibly what isn't working for you, and not allowing guilt or allowing things that don't work for you to begin to release them, beginning to let them go. So one of those concepts and one of those pieces that I personally really scrappled with within myself. So being able to accomplish goals, being able to stay motivated, being able to that just that messaging, being able to wanting, and this inner dialogue that seems to just put so much heavy, so much expectation, so much weight. It can feel like you're, yes, maybe you are accomplishing it with this sensation of, go go go, and if you don't do this, or if this doesn't get done, like that heavy that can sometimes be put on us, we can put on ourselves a lot of the time. I see it with so many friends, with so many clients, students. It's if I'm being honest, it's, I think, one of the continuous, and again, it's that almost kind of dialogue of where we are right now in our world, where if you want to achieve, if you want to succeed, you should be giving things up. You should, and my goodness, the things that people are willing to give up, their own inner peace, their health, their wellness, their connection to their family, their friends, their space that really makes them who they are. They get further and further away from that just to, let's say, get to here. And it's also, I think, an important conversation to have, that when you get to here, whatever that is for you and your unique story, and your process, when you get there, it can sometimes just be a little bit of an experience that feels, the feels can sometimes be not everything that your mind made it up to be. And I'll say that in a slightly different way, because it's a really big concept to grasp within just a little conversation. But to break it down, so allowing yourself to put the energy and put the motivation and put the time and effort, and a lot of the time that comes with, for most of us, some form of stress, into a situation that is getting you to accomplish a goal, no matter what. And again, it depends on the personality, but being able to accomplish something, well, sometimes other things fall to the wayside. That in our life is just kind of almost accepted as that's going to happen. I want to kind of lean into, is that true? And that reality. Um, when we're working towards something that is important, this is valuable. That means it is connecting us, and it is important in our heart space. It's important in how our mind conceives or perceives, conceives and perceives. Yeah, let's say both. What we want to make our reality into, what we want to be striving for, and it can be for the benefit of many. However, ultimately, it's the individual that is going through the process, and whoever else is involved in that situation or is involved in the goals, and accomplishing those goals. what is fascinating to me is how often people are going along and struggling through these like just incredible, beautiful goals and these ideas and thoughts and creative time that it's this overwhelming sense of pressure. And it's not, maybe not always that pressure there, but it tends to be just there hovering in the background. And I recognize it in myself. There is no two ways about it. I have dug myself into many holes of overwork and literally scraping the bottom of the barrel as far as my energy reserves in order to accomplish a goal. I myself have been known in the past of being, from the outside perspective, looking like I can kind of keep all the balls, proverbial balls, in the air within my social world, within my businesses, within my family dynamics, and to a certain point, it's it's getting to understand that I've been a relentless workaholic at certain points in my life, that it just there is a better way, and I want to really state that statement. Being in it, recognizing it, and falling flat on my face because I've just over and over and over again allowed the weight of this hustle, this perceived do, and hit that wall and just had to stop. Like my physical, my emotional, my mental body had to stop. There was actually no choice. And along these many times, because I enjoy learning things many times over, it seems, is also insight and highlighting. Oh, interesting! Each and every time, here I am again, back into a space that my physical, it usually shows up in the physical, but sometimes the physical isn't always listened to. And I'm a person who does tend to listen to myself. So it's another fascinating theme or pattern, and I'm starting to recognize it's maybe a cultural habit pattern. You see so much of this hustle. Don't be focusing on yourself or your self care. Don't be focusing just for now on your family and your friends and these other things that really create a dynamic in your life that feel wholesome and feel like you are connecting to who you are. Just put that on the back burner. Putting so many things on the back burner, and for what end? For what purpose? When you do finally accomplish that goal, there's so many little fires that need to be put out around that goal. It can feel exhausting still. It can feel there's regret and there's these low vibration feelings that instead of accomplishing a goal, whatever that goal is, instead of there being success and or victories of success, instead of celebrating and really allowing ourselves to lean into the process that we've just undertaken, lean into that glide time. So a really big piece of accomplishing a goal is loving and accepting and leaning into the glide phase. Every accomplishment, whether it's small or big, it should always be followed by some form of glide. It's a metaphor that I have brought forward many times within for my students and with my clients, that when you are in an active role of accomplishing something, that can be, accomplishing right now yard work, it could be accomplishing a house renovation, it could be accomplishing a whole life's changeover where you want and you need something and you're actively working towards that is the active movement. So the metaphor that we're going to go into is either the breaststroke component or a side stroke. So there's a lot of buildup, there's a lot of movement in that initial. You're working with your upper body, and again, this is a metaphor, but it's a really good one when you kind of bring in the focus of visualizing what and how much effort it takes to get that breaststroke or that side stroke energy. You're doing so much within the arms and the legs to move, to create that momentum on getting yourself moving forward. And it's an interesting component because within life, when we bring that energy forward, life's universal pull takes us and adds to that momentum that we ourselves are putting in, that energy, that effort, that focus, then and more than anything, and I'm going to say this, more than anything, that feeling of wanting to move forward, that sometimes we get addicted to the feeling of just wanting to move forward and we forget about the ever so crucial component of the glide phase. The glide phase is literally you've done all the effort, all the movement, all the energy into a compiled kind of important force. You're pushing it out into the universal laws, and you're now allowing whatever you have put forward to then come and add its momentum with you doing very little to nothing. And that's the phase that you kind of you replenish, you begin to come inward again, you begin to enjoy the process that you're on, because sometimes while doing that process is beautiful and amazing, it can also be noticing that there's these little fires, that there's these little points in your life that are going to, if you're not aware, going to inevitably push you backwards in your goals instead of enhancing you and allowing you to move forward. So when you do the breaststroke, you see the momentum, you see the power, and then you go into that forward propulsion and you wait, you hold, and you enjoy. If I'm being honest, so I'm a swimmer, I teach and have taught swimming. I've been a swimmer since I can remember, but I've taught swimming since I was 16, 15, 16. And that was a continuous piece that I taught my students is how much effort and time and energy you put into the pull. You want to put just as much effort and time and energy and love into that glide phase. Don't underestimate the glide phase. So that glide phase is where you literally go into and you just allow. And the allowing of whatever people will come into your life that want to continue to help you to accomplish your goal. It's the allowing of taking care of yourself and knowing that you've got this, that just because you're taking care of yourself, it does not mean that you're going to go backwards. If anything, it's going to allow you to have that next burst of energy for you to move forward even more, even in, taking that next stroke, making that next step. So it's a piece that I've seen over and over again within my own story, within the stories of my clients, my students, and it's something I think is important. And kind of, again, it's interesting how my teachings, or how my impromptu teachings, which is what these videos are, seem to be starting to create a little bit of a piggyback theme. So when we dive into our wants, when we dive into our needs, how do we begin to really lean into that process in a way that is creating space for ourselves and space for others to just do what comes naturally. Yes, we're going to put the effort. Yes, we're going to bring the focus. That's going to happen because it's something that we need. And if it's something that we want, it also gets activated by that energetic feeling momentum. Now, how can we also take time to really allow that gliding phase to be a part of that whole situation? And that gliding phase is the space. It's the space that is needed to begin to get recreate or re-clarify. Am I on the right path? Is it feeling right? Are people being drawn to this? Meaning my family members, my intimate inner circle. When things are going in the right way, they'll be supportive. They'll be there, and they should be rallying up. There shouldn't be a lot of little fires going on because you're putting yourself or you're putting others on the back burner. And I'm going to say that again because I think it is important to repeat. You should not, there's that should word. You will not need to put yourself and to put the beautiful people that are there to support you, that love you, that want you to succeed on the back burner in order to accomplish a goal. I think that is an interesting piece of a unique puzzle because I've witnessed a lot of the time that just seems to be accepted as, okay, well, this will just be for this period of time, or this will just be for blah, blah, blah. And I get it, I've done it. However, what if the glide phases that I'm talking about are literally there to allow you to just be like, okay, this is like, let's really go in, lean in. Let's bring up the accomplishments we've done so far. Maybe we haven't gotten to the goal yet. That doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Let's really lean into the celebration of what has accomplished so far. Let me reach out to the people that have known what I'm going and working on, and let's celebrate with intention. The intention activates the feeling, which the feeling continues to get you ready and energized and motivated for that next working or activation phase, for that next power phase. So this is just, it's something I woke up with. It's something I've been recognizing in myself as I've been, really striving and making some beautiful headway in my goals, in my life, in my world, even with the interactions that I've witnessed within my own personal friendships and with my loved ones. Is I'm in the glide phase right now. Okay. Oh, and I love this glide phase now, whereas before it felt so like I wasn't doing enough. And really, when that feeling of I'm not doing enough, I need to do something, it made me in such an agitated kind of feeling that I wasn't doing enough and I should be doing more. The shoulda, woulda, couldas. That those were the moments that my energy, but more than my energy, my energetic pull that was being drawing me to my goals, to my missions, to my passions, it got segregated. It got separated from myself because I wasn't giving myself time to be in the glide. And therefore, and again, it's the same congruent idea of the metaphor of doing the breaststroke. If you notice a breaststroke, or whether you're a swimmer or not, you can visualize in your mind that breaststroke or that side stroke movement. When you're seeing that in your mind's eye, you see it, and it's the power of the glide that allows a person to move forward. If they cut off that glide too fast, or they don't give themselves any glide at all, they will actually start to swim, and actually the movement will go backwards. You will actually see this person putting so much effort in, and their movement, instead of propelling them forward more, will actually ever so slowly begin to bring them backwards. And it is such a fascinating concept, and there's so much to this concept. I'm trying to bring it in very simple ways. Some of the teachings, we dive so deep into this one piece to be able to really understand it, not just in here, but in here, where, that overwhelm, that stress, that heaviness that sometimes we put on ourselves, or others, that it can feel like others are putting on us, within a dynamic of a workforce. You need to allow the workforce, you need to allow the, the environment to have that glide. So everyone can come back, re-solidify, this is what we're working to, re-solidify, this is how I'm taking care of myself so I can get to that final goal. And it changes and shifts and transforms our inner and outer realities. And I say inner first because it really needs to come from an inner space first to begin to create and bring forth outside or an external reality into this 3D world that we happen to coexist in. And so, what is the cost of cutting off your glide? That is, the sense of regret, the sense of sometimes betrayal, or our physical body feeling like it doesn't have the ability to keep going. So our physical body will do that, will bring that forward in certain ways. It can come forward in surface layer aches and pains, headaches, chronic skin issues, chronic digestive issues. These are just surface layers. But what happens if that constant propulsion for go 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 and hustle and never allowing yourself to be in the glide, what happens in the long term? Those chronic states of health, those chronic states of mental well-being. So again, those pieces, that what happens when you're not sleeping well for long periods of time? What happens when your body and your mind and your spirit, your activating force? So I look at spirit as that divine part of self that knows where you are needing to go, that knows your final outcome, that knows and can feel everything when you get to that outcome. That's a beautiful place to have in your mind's eye and in your heart space. However, what if you're not enjoying any step or any process along the lines? What is that going to do to you, to your essence of who you are? Do you lose little bits and pieces of yourself? But when you get to that final goal, say, oh, well, that happened. However, I got this. Why does it feel so shallow? Why does it feel like I'm wanting to run away? Why does it feel like my emotional state is almost disappointed? And these are all outcomes that I've witnessed, I've seen, I've lived. And knowing that there's a better way, knowing that there's a crucial step that seems to be getting missed in this reality of creating our ideal world. It's a piece that's coming forward, and it's a piece that I just wanted to share and have a little conversation and talk about today, because it's more than just important. It is that component of need. It is a needed layering of finding success, of finding a life where you're thriving. It is a crucial, important step that so many people are not putting enough focus on, and it's a need. The side effects of not leaning into that need is long and lengthy, and the tools to accomplish that need, that glide, everyone's glide scenario is very unique and different. And I didn't realize that for quite some time within my teachings, until more and more of my students came forward with very diverse, very resourceful, very beautiful portrayals of what their glide looks like and feels like. And within my teachings, that's what I love, is to see all the variety, um, ultimately getting them to their goals in a record breaking time, because they have the energy for each and every energy outburst. They feel the celebration during the glide, they feel the self renewal, they feel the connection to their community and to their support system. And it gives it, there's this constant fear of, well, if I don't keep going, if I sit down and rest, I will not get up again. I can understand that, but that's because you've already reached critical mass. That's because you've already gotten to that point where your physical, mental, emotional bodies are just surviving. They're just in survival mode. You need to break it back. You need to take that extra long glide till you don't have any more forward movement, till you start to feel like you're sinking. And it's that space, that token, that moment in time where, okay, have I got enough rest? Am I able to do this in a slightly different way that I know is going to bring me forward movement in a very accelerated way with less effort? Does that make sense? Does that concept begin to, hopefully it's starting to land a little bit, because that's what I teach. Those are the moments, those are the pieces, and that's what I focus on. How can we do this, and the unlayering of this, your needs, your wants? How do we unlayer, unpackage it in a way that doesn't mean that there needs to be suffering of yourself? And ultimately, what happens to you, and I think that's a crucial component, what happens to you affects it. We have this beautiful ability to affect around us. And it's this ripple effect, whether we are actively aware of it or not. It's this ripple effect that occurs. It is. We can choose to see it, we can choose to feel into it or not, but it is there inevitably. And how we bring forward, how we bring our celebrations, our life patterns forward is how ultimately it's affecting those around us once as well. And of course, if we have those in our world that are compassionate listeners, compassionate feelers, compassionate pieces, they have that in spades. If you are in suffering, if you are in a state of pulling down, pulling yourself into disharmony, meaning that you're ever so slightly out of sync, whether it's in a big way or whether it's in little tiny token ways, the other people in your life begin to feel and take that on as well. And it's not a bad thing. It's a beautiful thing of how much we share within our community, how much we share within our inner circle, within our inner support system. And that can help to propel us when things are getting tough, and that can help to kind of begin to create a weight when things are maybe becoming out of sync, or overwhelm begins to sink in, or fear begins to really put its effort, bring its frequency into that dynamic. And it felt really important to just shine a little light on not only maybe thinking and perceiving something slightly different, because again, I am pushing against the reality of um, what a lot of companies and what a lot of people put a lot of effort on and emphasis on is this hustle and this go 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 and don't stop, keep going. This is how you're going to accomplish your goals. And I am kind of saying no, no, in so many ways, and so with so much feeling, with so much passion, I say no, thank you, no, thank you to the whole concept of it. Um, and I know I'm pushing against possibly some people's ideas of, you know, that proverbial whip and carrot concept, because that's another whole other story. But that whip and carrot concept is it's got so many layerings to it. It's got so many belief systems honed into it, and belief systems that for some have been whether pushed on us or enforced in us, and then hence we enforce in ourselves since childhood, since it's what we've seen in our reality for so long. It's sometimes challenging to think that there's a different way that is less effort and more forward movement, more forward momentum. But hopefully that little nugget, hopefully that idea that I brought forward, at least tantalized your thought on maybe interesting, and if it got you to think or feel something ever so slightly different, or maybe it touched in with something like that that resonates. Yeah, reach out. I'm here anytime. And I'm so excited because a big part of this is some of the YouTube teachings that I'm currently kind of bringing forward. Of all the years that I've taught, I've been bringing these teachings forward, and I really am excited about this particular series, and just wanting to get it up and going. And hopefully, as of October 11th, that whole system will start to be on YouTube. And all of these series, I wanted and brought forward these little impromptu teachings every morning, and it's been so beautiful. But I also want to lean in more. I want to give more, and I want to really bring some of my teachings more. So the YouTube channel I have felt is a good platform for being able to do that and to host me in such a way. So again, I'm going to just continue to just bring out my YouTube channel. It'll not look like much until we really start to create and get clear on my own teachings, and really begin to get that clarity on the YouTube channel. But stay tuned because I'm excited. It's coming, and it's going into a really cool place. So I really thank those of you that have been on the path with me, continue to be on this path, and if you want to join me, join in. And as of the 11th, I'll be just bringing these teachings, these morning connections, and transforming them and bringing them over to the YouTube platform because I feel it might just be a more congruent way of keeping in touch and staying on base with you. So thank you again and have a great day. Enjoy.